Apparently, white folks have had enough and they're finally over feeling guilty about the past.
I'm just over this white guilt, white shame type stuff. I'm not advocating for white supremacy. I'm just advocating the end of white silence and the end of white guilt and the end of white shame.
Which was highlighted when the richest man in the world, also a very public racist, who grew up in apartheid South Africa and does Nazi salutes in his spare time.
Thank you.
Actually tweeted publicly on the platform that he owns, "No more white guilt," in a tweet that now has over 22 million views. But if you're like me, then you're probably a little puzzled by that tweet and the post that it was responding to. White guilt is dead and Gen Z is done apologizing for history they didn't write. All caps is unnecessary. And you're probably wondering, did I miss something? Because I'm still trying to figure out their outrage myself. White people have never felt guilty or shown accountability for anything they did involving black people.
I kept hearing white people talk about white guilt, and I was genuinely confused at first. Like, what guilt? White people don't feel guilty about a damn thing.
Whether that was slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, systematic racism, discrimination, mass incarceration, or just straight up racism that we see or experience every day.
I'm not inciting violence. When they chimp out, I call them a chimp. Shut up, dumbass.
But all of a sudden, they're done apologizing to us, and there's a call to action for white people to be loud, proud, and unapologetic racists.
That's really what the movement's about. You call them to their face and you go about your day-to-day life. This is America. You're not going to starve me. You're not going to kill me.
As if they weren't already.
White man, fight back! White man, fight back! White man, fight back!
And all of this fake outrage about ever having to feel guilty again, which they never did, it's so dramatic and fake because when white people are called out for their atrocities that they committed against black people in this country, they either downplay the severity or impacts of slavery, racism, and discrimination.
Slavery wasn't that bad. Trump is absolutely right. He didn't say slavery wasn't bad. He said it wasn't that bad.
They ate people. They ate people thinking that they were gang superpowers. They fed children to alligators for sport. They raped other men's wives. They raped men. They skinned people, turned them into shoes, bags, wallets, and furniture.
Or have a racist crash out proving racism is still alive and well. And when all of that bullying and rage doesn't work,
Get the f*** out of here, you stupid fucking
they then accuse black people of being racist, playing the victim, or having a victim mentality when they themselves are playing victim. But here we are, all of a sudden, white people are being told to no longer feel guilt for their oppression of black and brown people, and not to apologize for racism.
How many more times is it my fault? Is it my grandkids' fault too? Is it my grandkids' fault too?
Your fault.
Yeah. It is? I mean, I'm just saying generationally.
Even if white guilt was real, which I don't think it is, your solution to white guilt is just to be more racist and further establish why you should have been guilty in the first place?
White guilt is a creation of white consciousness and a battle within white consciousness. It's your brain in a state of cognitive dissonance. You get really angry and you go, no, 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 no. I can't be ashamed. They want me to be ashamed. They are lying. They are wrong. And what they're trying to do is break our history, break my family, break my success.
But I'm Jew. Welcome to the channel. Please like and share the video. Don't forget to sub. Now, let's get into it.
I hurt some feelings, but whatever. I was just scrolling through my feed and I saw a couple of posts about how white people have no culture. And I'm just over this white guilt, white shame type stuff. I'm not advocating for white supremacy. I'm just advocating the end of white silence and the end of white guilt and the end of white shame. Because
I kept hearing white people talk about white guilt, and I was genuinely confused at first. Like, what guilt?
I said the same thing. What are we talking about? What guilt?
White people don't feel guilty about a damn thing. They will colonize, steal, rewrite the history books, claim they don't see color, and still paint themselves as the victim. Then it hit me. The thing they keep calling white guilt, that shaky, uncomfortable feeling, that little twitch in their spirit when somebody tells the truth, that ain't guilt. That's what the rest of us call accountability.
That's their conscience kicking in.
The world stops coddling them and starts correcting them. Oh, suddenly it's guilt. Suddenly it's oppression. Suddenly I feel attacked. No. Nobody's attacking you. We're all just finally telling the truth without correcting them. Oh, suddenly it's guilt. Suddenly it's oppression. Suddenly I feel attacked. No, nobody's attacking you. We're all just finally telling the truth without whispering. It's like
Right.
how generations have endured slavery, lynchings, genocide, segregation, medical experimentation, stolen land, stolen cultures.
That medical experimentation doesn't get talked about enough. All the crazy stuff that they did to black people.
They operated on people without anesthesia just to see their reaction.
Stolen labor, and somehow y'all are the ones that are uncomfortable. That guilt? No, y'all are just allergic to accountability.
Big facts, because what is anybody even asking of them other than to admit what actually happened in history? Stop trying to downplay it, whitewash it, or pretty it up. Slavery was horrific, and so were all those years after it, leading up to civil rights, where people were still getting lynched and set on fire. How hard is it to be like, yeah, my bad, you know what, my people did benefit from free labor for 400 years?
Anytime somebody brings up the truth, y'all start glitching. Imagine doing the then crying because somebody names the harm.
That's exactly it. They're the bully and the victim. They will bully as much as they want until it stops working, and then all of a sudden when they get called out or reality hits them, then they're the victim. You're attacking me. You're being mean. Oh, that's racist. You're being racist against me. It's a psychosis.
Y'all aren't being attacked. You're being told the truth. Call it whatever makes you sleep at night. But the rest of us know exactly what it is. You're not used to the consequences of your own history knocking at your door.
White guilt? Nah, you mean accountability. Even when they're growing up, they either have white privilege or they get bailed out of every consequence imaginable. We live in such a crazy timeline. Nothing is normal. Things that should matter don't matter anymore. 5, 10, 15 years ago, none of this would be normal. Could you imagine if the richest man in the world was still Bill Gates or Warren Buffett and they tweeted no more white guilt, or I guess for them because they're old, made a statement in an interview and said no more white guilt? People should be more shocked and more outraged that the richest man in the world is tweeting out racist stuff. Just look how racist this whole entire thread is. All of it. It's just racist. This is the richest man in the world who was working with the federal government for the better half of a year. 2015, you're a racist. Wait, what? 2025, you're a racist. Fuck off. I think that works better for us than it does them, right? Because it proves that they were racist the whole time. They were hiding it the whole time. Because now, 10 years later, the same people that probably pretended not to be racist are now saying they don't give a fuck and they are racist. So what? Good for us. Look at this. They have whole propaganda pages. That is just crazy. White people never felt guilt in their entire existence. Exactly. All this white guilt they're talking about, I've never seen it or experienced it. These are the same people that grow up with white privilege, but they can't even imagine how far back black people would be set by something like slavery or civil rights or discrimination, anything. But it doesn't matter because they're over feeling guilty about it. When he says things like no more white guilt, it's not just about the past. He's saying no more white guilt for shit that they want to do now. I agree with that, right? If they all program each other into just believing that they don't have to feel guilty for anything that they say or do race-wise, then you could see how they carry that into the future. Just unapologetic racists. So this is interesting. It's actually an analysis on white guilt, what white guilt actually is. It is accountability and that uncomfortable feeling that they know they, their family, their ancestors, society has wronged somebody and they can't admit it.
What people call white guilt is often just discomfort when confronting racism. Framing this as guilt makes it seem like an excessive or unreasonable emotional burden. And it also presents white people as the victims instead of the actual victims as victims.
Imagine being racist and benefiting from racism your whole life, and then when someone brings it up, you're like, oh no, I feel attacked. You're trying to make me feel white guilt.
What people call white guilt is often just discomfort when confronting racism. Framing this as guilt makes it seem like an excessive or unreasonable emotional burden. And it also presents white people as the victims instead of the actual victims as victims.
That pretty much explains white and black people in America right now. They're actually tweeting out stuff like this. It's insane to me that these people will constantly attack white people and then act baffled when white people stop having sympathy for them. These are people that intentionally oppress black people even after slavery. Not sure if you're aware, but you attacked, enslaved, lynched, Jim Crow'd, redlined black people for hundreds of years. No one is baffled by your depravity and wickedness. The only thing surprising is you playing the victim after all the harm you've done. And I think that's the point, that these people even think that they get to play the victim now because they don't want to talk about something. When they were the oppressors and beneficiaries from racism the entire time we've been in this country.
You can literally find white guilt back to this nation's foundation. Founding father Thomas Jefferson, who was both a slave owner but somebody who considered himself to be an abolitionist, once said, "There is not a man on this earth who would sacrifice more than I would to relieve us from this heavy reproach. We have the wolf by the ear, and we can neither hold him nor safely let him go. Justice is in one scale and self-preservation in the other." Basically, that quote is Thomas Jefferson lamenting his own guilt and sadness in the horrors of slavery, but his own fear of letting it go in turn of what might happen to him. White guilt is a creation of white consciousness and a battle within white consciousness. It's your brain in a state of cognitive dissonance that if what people like me are saying is true, then how do you cope with the reality that the values you were raised on and the narrative you've been told is all a lie? That your success, your ancestors' success is marked in the blood and the bones of my people.
I think that whole argument, it was my ancestors. What do you want me to do about it? It's so lame because how hard is it to acknowledge that slavery happened, it was brutal, horrific, and your ancestors were monsters, and that white society as a whole benefited from slavery and the oppression of black people for hundreds of years. But that wouldn't happen because they would have to look in the mirror as white people and really acknowledge that where they are in life is not because they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and worked hard. They are the beneficiaries of white privilege passed down since slavery.
People were oppressed. How many more times is it my fault? Is it my grandkids' fault too? Is it my grandkids' fault too?
Your fault.
Yeah. It is? I mean, I'm just saying generationally, I understand it's about equality and like, hey, these certain people were oppressed.
But there lies the problem. There was never accountability on the white side. They built the system, the federal government, to benefit them, to reward them, while hurting the black community or keeping us barred from things that we should have been allowed to participate in, like buying houses before we were allowed to. Not to mention redlining, where they told you where you could and couldn't live. If there was a general acknowledgement and racism was no longer alive, and white people addressed systemic racism against black people. But until any of that is acknowledged or addressed, it ain't like, oh, it ain't my fault no more. You're still benefiting from a society that rewards white privilege.
You can fucking look it up in anywhere and it's not, no one's denying it. I'm just saying, like,
there is a lot of denial when it comes to slavery, a lot of downplaying, a lot of whitewashing, again, so that they don't feel guilty or accountable. So they can say, oh, it's not as bad as they're saying it was. It was 100 times worse.
You know, it's crazy, white guilt as a concept, right? Because it doesn't exist. And if it did exist, you would be seeing white people actively trying to redo the oppressive and systemic systems that were built against black people.
That's the point. If white guilt did exist and white people ever felt guilty or took accountability, then they would have destroyed the systematic racism and oppression that black people are still dealing with today. The world is crazy for sure. We are seeing white people lash out and be racist because they were asked to acknowledge and be accountable for slavery and all the benefits that white people have received since then. They refuse to acknowledge that past, downplay it, whitewash it, and then act offended and get more racist. At the end of the day, white guilt is a joke. We can't miss something we never had. But shout out to my channel members. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for watching. Y'all let me know what you think about all this in the comments. And make sure you check out the next video. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Twitter for behind the scenes and life stuff. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.